later on sent to them. So as you know, the kind of agreements, trade agreements which comply between the two trading countries or partners. So apart from the documentation part and the choosing the financing, that which method of trade financing they have to go for, either for LC, factoring, forfeiting, which is another subset of DC, or counter trade mechanism, open account, cash in advance, which kind of settlement they have to make pertaining to the level of goods or services they are dealing with. So that is one part of the major thing which comes under trade financing. But apart from the documentation and freezing of financing, what is more important is also dealing with the Incoterms. So these Incoterms are nothing but these are certain rules, certain frameworks which has been coined out by your ICC, which is nothing but your international commercial chambers, that is through the trade agreements. The ICC Act initially, which was done in 1936, these rules were framed out, and these rules are across every nations. Those who are following trade agreements, they are required to follow by these rules. Either it is coming under the sea rule, or it is coming under the land rule or the airway rules. So different kind of category of Incoterms are there, and these are the rules of interpretation for most of the commercial trade agreements which are held at international level, which is dealing with international trade. So the rules, this has been developed and maintained by the experts. There is a committee, those who belong to the ICC, and these set of committees or board of members, they deal with the kind of rules which has to be framed in terms of the Incoterms. So this define the mutual obligation of the seller and the buyer, which are arising from the movement of goods under the international contract, from the standpoint of risk, the cost coverage, the documentation. So all these things has to be clearly defined if through the Incoterms. So initially, Incoterms, this rule started with 1936, but after that, it has been revised 6 times before 2010. And in the current revision, which is 2011, which is going by this trade agreements. And under this trade agreements, you will be coming across different categories of Incoterms. And these are alphabetically denoted as Incoterm E, Incoterm F, Incoterm D, and Incoterm C. So these are the various categories of Incoterms which are being seen in terms of the international trade agreements. So one by one, we'll come across what are these different categories of Incoterms and to what extent they act as a deal of contract between the buyers and sellers. So why is it needed? The reason is they provide a common set of rules to clarify responsibilities of the buyer and the seller, dealing with the delivery of good, dealing with the cost, dealing with the sales contract. So that is what the decision has to be done between the two parties. Suppose I, as an exporter, want to export certain units of garments to Bangladesh. So during this kind of contract, I have to decide that either the delivery charge of the good has to be borne by me or it has to be borne by the buyer. Second, it has also to be decided either the insurance coverage has to be done by me or by the buyer. And third, which would be the mode of transportation? Either it has to move through the sea route or through the land route or through the airway route. So what route of communication will be decided? Again, either it has to be borne, the cost of communication has to be borne by me or it has to be borne by the buyer. So these are certain kind of rules, certain kind of agreements with respect to the cost, with respect to the insurance coverage, with respect to the freight charges, and till the final delivery of the goods. All these things will be reflected in your Incoterms. And this is Registered Act. It goes by the registered trademark of ICC which is International Chamber of Commerce. So these rules are very, very predominant and very clearly written in the rules of trade financing companies. So those people, those who are dealing with trade financing companies, they have to very clearly go by this rule book, which is clearly delineated in terms of Incoterms. As you have certain kind of trademarks of every companies, which shows the authenticity or the reliability of that specific organization or the company or the law. Similarly, international trade commerce, they come up with a rule, and that is all defined in terms of your Incoterms. And this is a registered trademark of the International Chamber of Commerce. Why this is done? The question must be very, very pertinent in your mind, that why is it required to coin out? We are already doing the documentation, we are already doing with your freezing of trade financing. Then why is it essential to come across this third issue, which is your Incoterms? The major benefit or the major requirement of this is that it is going to reduce the risk, due to the fact that countries have different business cultures, different languages, different kind of agreements. So in order to create a standardized form of rules, the rule of delivery of India will vary from that of Bangladesh or from that of, say, Ethiopia. So in that sense, how will you create a commonality in terms of the various rules and regulations which has been there amongst different countries? So that is the reason why this Incoterms has been created, and it will very clearly take back the risk which is associated with the buyer and the seller. So as you have chosen a different kind of trade financing, which will be better for the buyer and which will be better for the seller, similarly here also you will be choosing which category of Incoterms will be better for the seller and which category of Incoterms will be better for the buyer. So in that similar way, this kind of settlement of agreement has to be done between the two parties. So here Incoterms will not cover the ownership or the title of transfer between the goods as it is there in your trade financing, but still then this will easen up the task of both the transacting parties, that is your buyer and the sellers. So here you'll be coming across two categories of Incoterms. Group 1, which is applying to any mode of transportation. Any mode here I am referring to airway, ocean route, and land. So your airway will require a kind of billing which is known as airway bill of lading or airway bill. Your land route will include a billing which is known as your bill of lading. And your ocean ways or waterways again will continuously include a kind of billing which is known as your waterway bill. So these three bills are to be very, very essentially kept with the seller unless and until he receives the amount from the buyer. So group 1 category of Incoterm will cover all those kind of transportation, whereas the group 2 category of Incoterms will only include your ocean ways or waterways, right? So these are certain basic rules I'm trying to figure out. Your understanding about the rules will make you give a decision as far as a given case, that which kind of communication will be essentially helpful for the buyer and the seller when you are giving your opinion or your decision about the kind of Incoterms which they are going to deal with. Any questions by far? Hello?
No,
Yes, ma'am.
no.
There are certain basic
Yes, ma'am.
rules. Yes, I
Yes,
understand.
ma'am. One doubt, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, if it if a vehicle means if a sea transport is going through a channel or a passage like Panama Canal or Suez Canal, So will it come under group 2 or group 1?
Completely, if it is waterways, it will go to group 2. Completely, it will be group 2. Group 1 will be all, but specifically all those of transportation, communication through waterways and ocean ways, that will be group 2. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So the reason of going for
Yes, ma'am.
this is, as I already mentioned, reduce the uncertainty caused by trade practices in different countries. So earlier, what was that different countries, they came up with different kind of rules and regulation. So in order to avoid that, the Incoterms rules were framed out where it was very clearly mentioned about the category of goods, the mode of transportation, and the easiness of credit availability for each of these goods. So that is why Incoterms were laid out by ICC. They simplified the negotiation which involved in terms of your international commercial agreement. Again, certain amount of litigation which used to emerge, that to some extent those were controlled through your Incoterms, and they ensured common understanding of obligations between the two parties. It is not that only obligations lies with the importer or the exporter. Obligations are for both, depending upon the kind of goods they are dealing with and the kind of mutual agreement which both the parties are having with. So in that sense, they simplify some of the terms of international sales agreement. And what do they do not do? The certain kind of agreement that take place of a sales agreement or terms and conditions supply all terms for international sales, not service contract. They do not determine the transfer of title. Transfer of title in the sense that ownership transfer, that is not done over here. They do not determine the breach of contracts or the remedies. They do not protect parties from their own risk of loss. They do not cover goods before or after delivery. So all these things, the entitlement of the goods or the kind of losses or gains, these are put into practice depending upon the kind of Incoterms which you choose. Again, certain carriage, insurance, financing, because all these things already is a part of trade financing. So those part which are already discussed in the contract agreement of documentation and trade financing, they are not a part of discussion of Incoterms. So the terms which are being covered over here are the followings, which you see are in the form of warehousing, packaging, loading, freight charges, terminal charges, freight forward, ocean freight, duty, taxes, custom clearance, delivered, and security clearance. So right from the destination or the factory from where the goods is produced till the good reaches the place of the buyer. So whatever kind of thing is involved, particularly with reference to its shipment or to its transportation, how the cost has to be borne, who will bear the cost of transportation, who will bear the insurance cost, who will bear the duties and the custom clearance. So this is what is the kind of decision which is being led out by your Incoterms. Suppose in India, there is a kind of good which a gold movement from Dubai. So if you know that beyond a certain limit of category of gold, one cannot import gold from Dubai, even if it is, you think that it is cheapest, you can import unlimited amount, but you cannot. If you are importing a certain amount of gold beyond the limit, then you require what? You require a custom clearance. Suppose a goldsmith in Odisha or Bhubaneswar is importing gold from a shop of Dubai. So in that sense, even if it is a form, it's completely in the form of a commercial kind of agreement, so then both the parties have to go by the clauses. And in that case, the dealer who is dealing with Bhubaneswar in a gold shop in Bhubaneswar and the one who is selling gold in Dubai, they have to clearly decide that who is going to bear the duty, the taxes, and again, who is going to give the custom clearance. If the amount of gold, suppose say 100 kg, beyond that they cannot import. But if the goldsmith of Bhubaneswar is importing gold more than 100 kgs, so again, the gold has to be there within the customs. And for that, he has to bear a custom clearance fees. So in that sense, the party has to decide that who will bear the custom clearance, who will bear the insurance against the theft of the gold while delivering between Dubai to Bhubaneswar. So all these things has to be taken care of with your Incoterms agreement. And that is what Incoterms is really essential in order to have it. So these are in practice, in rule book, you will find actually this four categories of Incoterms: Incoterm E, Incoterm F, Incoterm C, and Incoterms D. So these are something which has to be remembered. I hope if I would have been in the real classroom, I would have played a ladder game in order to make it remember, but now it's really difficult to go by that step. So this is what the four categories of Incoterms which you will see as far as the international commercial terms is concerned. So E is denoted as X works. F, under F again you will have three categories, which is FCA, means free courier, FAS, which is free alongside ship, FOB, which is free on board, CFR, which is cost and freight charges, CIF, I think all of you might be aware of CIF. Yes, the CIF concept is not new to all of you. Or earlier also you might have come across the CIF, which includes the cost, insurance, and freight charges. CPT is cost carriage paid to. CIP is carriage and insurance paid to. Incoterm D again includes different categories. So one by one we'll go by what are all these. And it is basically a decision between the buyer and the seller, that where the buyer will get the maximum benefit and where the seller will get a maximum benefit. For instance, if I choose certain category of Incoterm D, then in this case, D is the easiest or the risk-free for the buyer. Why do you know? Because again, everything has to be dealt by the seller. The seller will all take responsibility right from his factory till the good reaches the destination of the buyer. It will bear all those things. So that is why Incoterm D category is the easiest or is the risk-free for the buyer or the importer. So one by one, we'll come across these four categories of Incoterms. These are certain rules, so I'm skipping it out. So here you can see I've drawn a flowchart in order to show the steps of global logistics, which is being done when there is trade or a kind of transactions which is involved. Can you see? Once the good is produced or manufactured, then the packaging is done. Then loading, preliminary transportation, custom clearance for export, handling outbound, then the insurance, either it is a first party or a second, third party insurance, handling inbound, then final transport, then again custom clearance duties, final transportation, and then unloading. So right from loading till unloading, whatever kind of activities are involved, that has to be clearly mentioned in your Incoterms. So this is how the logistics. In marketing, this thing you denote it as a different name. What do you call it as? What are all these? What are all this?
Supply chain.
Channels, ma'am, distribution channel.
Distribution channels or
Logistic channels.
logistic channels,
Supply chain.
distribution channels, and any other name to it?
Supply
Ma'am,
chain.
supply chain also.
Supply chain, very good. So this is how you find that all this thing, isn't it even if the kind of functionality is different, but don't you think that these is a cycle, or these are the process which needs to be there? Any disruption in the chain, is it not going to affect the entire process of trading? Of course, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is how in trade financing, Incoterms play a very, very crucial role as far as the process is concerned. So certain acronyms where you can use, which dictates the mode and where the lines are drawn. So this is a usual form where you can see, I've taken a snapshot of a usual form for an Incoterms, and the entries are made. Here it is mentioned which kind of good, and the quantification is done. Then the seller risk, buyer seller's cost, that is mentioned. Based upon that, they decide on carriage, which you are seeing. Here they will mention that for pre-carriage, which kind of category they will go for main carriage, and for on carriage, which category of Incoterms they will choose out of all five, so that the risk is minimized. So this filling of this form, I will come a slide later on. Once you know that how each category of Incoterms is taken up. So first of all is Incoterm E. So, or you can term it as X works. So this is one of the least used Incoterm. Why? Because under this, the seller minimizes his risk by only making the goods available at its own premises. Here you will see that the kind of examples or the route which I show you in the earlier graph, if it is Incoterm E, that means the seller will only produce the good, and it will keep the good in the packaging and loading. After that, whatever steps you see, the responsibility of that will not be taken by the seller. So in that sense, if the seller does not take the responsibility, only it will deliver the good at its premises or at its dockyard or at its place. And from there, right from the good to go to the country, the responsibility entirely will lie with the buyer. So in this case, for Incoterm E, who will be the most beneficial and who will be the worst sufferer if they choose Incoterm E?
Seller would be the most beneficial.
Yes, seller will be the most beneficial. That this is as if I manufacture a pair of or a certain pair of shoes, right? I have to deliver shoes to, say, Canada, but I manufactured the shoes and I kept it in my doorsteps. Rest is, if you have had a trade agreement with me, then you want my shoes, then it's up to you how you will get those shoes to your country. I will not bear any responsibility if I choose to go for Incoterm E category. So in this case, if one kind of trader chooses Incoterm E, then in that sense, he is the most beneficial. The seller becomes the most beneficial because here the goods is remaining at its disposal. That means he is only producing the good and the goods are delivered at its own place. Hence, next, whatever goes, it is completely the prerogative or responsibility of the buyer. So this is a category of Incoterm which is known as E. The seller fulfills his obligation to deliver the good when he has made the good at his premises to the buyer. The seller will not be responsible for loading the good on the vehicle provided by the buyer. The seller will not be responsible for clearing the goods for export unless agreed, and the buyer will bear all the cost, risk involved in taking the goods from the seller's premises to the desired destination. That is what I was mentioning right now. So in that sense, which category of Incoterms do you think that under what situation the kind of agreement will follow Incoterm E? Under what situation the kind of Incoterm will be decided on the basis of E category? What kind of good or what situation?
If the good is more exclusive, like no, not many substitutes are available, then the seller can say to the buyer that you should.
So it is an
bear
act
this.
of monopolization of the seller, isn't it? Under what circumstance a seller will be ready or a buyer will be ready to pick up the goods from the doorstep of the seller? When I feel that that is required for me. If I don't find any other alternative, any other substitute in the market. So in that sense, I have to go by these two. Otherwise, I will be completely done away with my trading responsibilities. So even if here the buyer will bear all the cost, right from the cost of loading till unloading at its own place, entire cost will be involved by the buyer. So that is what is Incoterm E. And it is very rarely done depending upon the kind of obligation a seller or a buyer has to the seller. I hope it is clear. Any queries about Incoterm E?
No, ma'am.
Okay. The second category of Incoterms is your Incoterm F, which we mentioned. So again, in F category, you will come across these three: free alongside ship, free courier, and free on board. So in this case, under F terms, the seller will arrange and pay for the pre-carriage in the country of the export, including the export clearance under FCA and FOB. So the pre-carriage kind of settlement will be done if you are choosing F, but the post-carriage will not be done. So here, seller will deliver the good to the courier or another person nominated by the buyer at the seller premises. The parties are well advised to specify a clearly possible point, and the seller does not clear for the export goods. There are certain kind of rules of F category, but the basic essence of this is that the seller will create a halfway rescue of the buyer, right? It will not completely save the buyer, but halfway it will try to do till the pre-carriage is done. So that is why seller has a definite role to play. It will clear the customs, it will deliver the good to the courier, and it will then provide the evidence of delivery. So till this step, second step, the seller will take the responsibility. But after that, the seller is not going to take the responsibility if you choose the category through F. So free alongside ship means alongside ship till your shipment, the kind of things will be done. But once the goods are shipped and the process, the ship is on the route, either it is on the ocean, and on the ocean, either your goods are lost or it is damaged or it is stolen. So in that case, the seller won't take any responsibility because it is still pre-carriage, till the shipment, till the quay, till the alongside ship. So that is why it is free till the goods reach the means of communication. After that, anything happen, as I was mentioning in the last class about the Pirates of Caribbean. So you never know when the pirates has going to hijack or take away your goods. So in that sense, if in case certain kind of risk is involved for the buyer, then there the buyer has to take the responsibility. The seller will not come to the rescue. So only difference between Incoterm E and F is in F, the seller will bear the responsibility half away. But in E category, the seller is not at all bearing the responsibility. It is only producing the good and keeping the good at its doorsteps. Next forward, the buyer role has to come to the picture. But F category mein, till the shipment, responsibility will be with the seller. But after that, whatever happens, it is nothing to deal with the seller. Everything has to be done by the buyer. Is it clear? So you can go through these rules for F. Next is C category. So C category mein again it includes cost and freight. So agar CFR mein you are dealing with only the cost charges and the freight charges will be borne by the seller, not your insurance charges. But if you go by it is one step better than what? F category for the buyer. Are you slowly realizing the burden, how it is being transferred from the seller to the buyer, from the buyer to the seller? E category mein, what was that? The entire burden lied with the buyer. In F category, slowly the burden lessened. With whom? With the buyer. Again, C category mein, again certain amount of burden is lessened for the buyer. Why? Because here the seller will arrange and pay for the main carriage. In F category, it was making the payment for the pre-carriage. That means till the shipment. But here, it will make the payment for the main carriage, but without assuming the risk of the main carriage. So in that sense, the cost and freight charges, the cost, insurance charges of the entire good, it has to be paid by the seller if you are choosing Incoterm C category, right? So these are some of the C category. I have given you some cases. Contract says seller is to deliver good on board at port of, say, Charleston at US. Then the terms of sales are CFR, which is cost, freight, and issue charges. Seller delivery obligation is fulfilled when the goods are on the board. The vessel in South Carolina, risk of loss passes then also. Seller must pay for the shipment to the Shanghai. So this is how a contract looks like. And in the contract, those who are freezing Incoterms, they have to mention clearly that is contract mein buyer kitna burden bear karega or seller kitna burden bear karega, where the risk of losses is more and where it is less, and how the risk of losses can be avoided, and you can go for a loss aversion principle. So these are some of the kind of agreements which you see for category C, which is C. Basically, if out of all the four, you will see that CFR and CIF, these two are for ocean terms, but CPT and CIP, these two are meant for other terms, either it is roadway or airway. So that is how you have defined the four terms of category C. CFR and CIF will they are only meant for if goods are communicated through the ocean route, but cost paid and cost insurance paid, they will be only limited to the other means of transportation, either airway or your roadways, or even through your railways. The last category of Incoterms which you see is the destination category or the D category. So here, as I stated, slowly and slowly, what you will notice as I'm moving from E to D, the burden of the seller is increasing, whereas the burden of the buyer is reducing. So in this D category of Incoterms, the seller cost is the maximized. The risk of the seller is maximized when he is agreeing that he will deliver the good at the agreed destination of the buyer. If I had made a trade deal with Bangladesh, I have produced certain units of garments. It's my responsibility to send the goods and to reach the doorstep of the dealer of Bangladesh, including covering entire cost. If I choose to follow the category of Incoterm D. So D may you have 5, again certain are she route and certain are other routes. So delivered at frontier, delivered ex ship, delivered ex quay, delivered duty unpaid, and delivered duty paid. So these are 5 categories which belong to Incoterm D. But irrespective of these 5 categories, what you will see, the entire kind of risk will lie with the seller, and the least risk will lie with the buyer. So at frontier, ex ship and ex quay. Do you know what is a quay? Any idea? Have you noticed a quay? Anyone who is living near Paradip port or any port area? Anyone who is residing near a port area? Cochin Port, Tuticorin, Paradip, Kandla.
Yes, ma'am.
So what is a quay? You might have noticed a quay then. Hello, all of you are here or you have slept?
Yeah.
Because I am speaking
No,
all
ma'am.
entire
I'm here
whole
only.
book. Huh? ट्रैफिगुरा अगर आएगा तो यही रूल बुक काम में आएगा, रट्टा मार लेना तब. अभी एग्जाम के लिए वैसे भी रट्टा मारोगे. Any trade financing company, if it is coming, this is what is going to sail you through. Hello.
Are you referring to that port where the goods are delivered by this ship?
Yes. Quay is nothing but it is a place nearby to the port where the goods are delivered. So if it is delivered through quay, suppose the quay area is, as I mentioned, I am delivering shirts to Bangladesh, say manufacturer X. So the manufacturer X place or its shop will be, let's say, 50 kilometers away from the quay of Bangladesh. So if I choose to go by DEQ method of payment, then I will take the responsibility till the good is unloaded at the quay of Bangladesh. After that, 50 kilometers distance, it will be covered. Anything which happens, even if within that 50 kilometers your goods are stolen or goods are damaged, I will not take the responsibility. So after that, responsibility will be completely to the buyer or the dealer of Bangladesh, whose shop will be, let's say, 50 kilometers away from the quay of Bangladesh. So that is what delivered ex quay is. I will be selling, or I will be delivering the goods at the quay, nearby the quay area of the Bangladesh. So this is how, and duty paid, duty unpaid is, I will be paying all those, clearing all those custom duties. If it is delivered, paid. If it is not unpaid, I will not be paying those duty charges which are involved in shipment or any other mode. So these are the category D. Again, DEQ and DES, that is delivered ex ship and delivered ex quay, because these two are related to ocean routes, but DDU and DDP, these are related to other routes. So that is how you can discriminate amongst the group 1 and group 2 category of Incoterms, apparently across different levels of categories, right from E, F, C, and D. These are the 4 categories of Incoterms which you notice as far as trade agreement is concerned. This is what a kind of activity which I was planning would have done in the class. Once you know all this category and how the kind of Incoterms is given, this is what is the tax of a trade financer is, in order to decide that what will be the cost involved in terms of the various Incoterms. This is a case, this is a scenario which you can see. As you can see, you are the exporter, suppose, and your factory is situated, say 100 kilometers away from the port. The products can be moved by rail to the port for unloading. Port facilities are good. Insurance is easily arranged. Your country is stable. Ships are available for shipment. What delivery terms would you suggest for the sales of your product to each of these following countries? So you have to decide country A, country B, country C, and country D should go for which kind of Incoterms out of all so that it can benefit them. Just think about 1 minute. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so in this case, with your knowledge of different kinds of Incoterms, you as a decision maker, now you are in the position. So now what kind of decision would you give to country A, which is having good infrastructure, which is efficient in inland transportation, but it is known for labor dispute. So this is the reputation of country A. So for country A, in this condition, what kind of Incoterms would you suggest? Just think about the case once more. This is a small exercise for you. Similarly, for country B, which has excellent inland transportation, port congestion from 10 to 90 days. So what kind of Incoterms will be better for country B? Country C has good port facilities, excellent inland transportation, but buyers are not reliable. So in that case, which category of Incoterms will be better for country C? And for country D, none of the above disadvantages. Country is stable and buyer is reliable. So which kind of Incoterm will you suggest for country D? So you have Incoterm E, Incoterm F, Incoterm C, and Incoterm D. So out of all, which one would you suggest?
Ma'am,
Yeah.
like you have said earlier, just like the supply chain process, Incoterms are also used. Like all the Incoterms are used, like starting from that EXW, which is XWorks, until the last one. All Incoterms are used, right?
Yes.
So how can we stick to only one according to per case? We can't.
It is not that you're sticking to one according to per case, but according to a definite quantum of good for a specific good, for a specific purpose. Till pre-carriage, you can choose one. For post-carriage, you can choose another. So different types of Incoterms which you can use for different countries. But I am here suggesting only one good. You cannot say that for all the goods, the same Incoterms can be used, because depending upon the relative strength of the good, either it is a essential or it is a normal good. So you have to decide. Either the good is of strategic importance, such as suppose defense materials like arms and ammunitions. So the countries which are dealing with that, they will go for which category of Incoterms, tell me? Suppose arms and ammunitions is a good, and for that these 4 countries are having this sort of problems. So a dealer or the exporter who is dealing with, that is why I have given you a kind of a case. You are the exporter. Now you have to decide that which kind of good you are dealing with. So for arms and ammunition, you as an exporter, let me take country D, where you find that the buyer is not reliable, and for country C, where you find that the buyer is not reliable. So again, what kind of Incoterm will you fix up for C and D?
Ma'am, C will go for X works, and for D we will go with D, where the buyer is reliable. So we can trust them and to maintain the property of the delivery by keeping our trade secrets. Because if we give up the delivery of the product in terms of defense products, a third party may get our trade secrets. So that is why we will go with D for D and EX for E.
Okay.
Sorry, C.
Okay. Any other response? See, Anurag, the question which you said was very, very pertinent, but the answer is also that you are changing the kind of Incoterms depending upon the kind of good. Suppose you have decided that you want to export medicines, and this is the medicine you want to export. And for that, you are very well decided that which one kind of agreement you will freeze with. But can you decide to replace medicines with fruits? Will you do it? You will not do that. No. So unless and until you completely replace the kind of good which you want to export, then why do you think that there will be confusion in the kind of Incoterms which you are deciding? That is why it is essentially required for particularly a trade finance analyst to have a clear-cut idea about which kind of Incoterms should fit to which kind of good and under what situation, because political, economic scenario of countries are different. Right now, Ethiopia is having a war, but still then it is having trade transactions. So in that sense, can you say that you will completely do away with the kind of trade dealings with Ethiopia as an exporter? You have frozen before that war, but now since war has stepped into the nation, what will happen? You can go for a irrevocable LC, and if it is that, you can change the kind of earlier. Suppose you have chosen D, but now you can say that since there is a kind of war or a destruction going on, let me pick up Incoterm X works rather than going for D. So environmental condition, economic condition, political conditions, they have to be really studied before you are choosing any kind of agreements as far as Incoterms are concerned.
Ma'am, one question I have.
Yes.
Like, suppose there is any political disturbances or any labor dispute kind of thing is there. So why can't we use the Incoterm C? Because suppose in that scenario, in like that's insurance factor is associated, right? In Incoterm C, like cost, insurance, and freight. So in that case, our chance of like getting products being lost, the chances is very minimized there, right? As we are backed by insurance. So
you are telling as a buyer or an exporter. In this case, you are the exporter. Right now, in this case, you are the exporter. You are dealing with a country which is having just a political disturbance. Now, in that case, if you decide that,
then I will go for F, ma'am. Then in that scenario, I will go for F.
Okay, why you will go for F with a lot
Ma'am,
of
because
disturbance?
as more, yes, ma'am, as most as there is like political disturbances and any uncertainty situation is there, I will be most likely try to send away my products so that there won't be any losses for any unfavorable
the political
situation.
disturbance is not in your country. The political disturbance is there in the country where to whom you are exporting. So there is a different set of rule altogether. Here in this case, country A, B, C, D are the countries to whom you are exporting. Are you getting it? So
Yes,
in this
ma'am.
case, country B is suffering from certain, let's say, political disturbance. It is having very good inland transportation, but it is having political disturbance. So what will you do? Which kind of Incoterm should you suggest country B? Similarly, which kind of Incoterm would you suggest country D? So for that, given a case, this is what is an analysis work which is given to all of you. Just think upon once more, going by all those category of Incoterms, I think you'll be able to answer them.
Ma'am, what should be the major points to consider for the exporter before choosing any Incoterms?
See, again, the conditions which he has to be careful about is the kind of good which is dealing with, the credit worthiness of the buyer, the kind of environment the buyer is having. What is the economic political condition of the country? What is the kind of transportation facilities in the country? Suppose you are deciding to import certain goods to a country X, but that country X do not have any proper communication. Communication in the sense that proper mode of transportation. So in that sense, what will you have to arrange everything?
Yes, ma'am.
You have to arrange a mode of transportation from your side. Suppose in India, you have Agarwal movers and suppliers, which can supply anywhere. But the country with whom you are trading, they do not have certain kind of facilities, any mode of communication, neither airway nor roadway, not. So in that case, what will you do? You will take the initiative.
Yes, ma'am.
You have
I
to
will
go
take the
by.
responsibility.
You will take the responsibility, even if the entire responsibility will lie with you. You have to take it, no? So again,
Yes, ma'am.
this will differ. It will differ from countries to countries. So these are certain kind of factors which you have to be aware about. So when a kind of decision is done, no, you have to do a research, proper research with those countries which you are dealing with, along with the research on the various types of trade financing. So this is not an easy job. Once you are working in field, no, first of all, first and basic information needed is to have a overall knowledge about the procedure, the process, the documentation, the mechanism, the rules of trade financing. So this part is done. Once you are aware, you are completely sound about the various norms, rules of trade financing. The second thing is that the country with whom you are dealing with, the entire economical, geographical, territorial, उनका क्या-क्या shipment है, क्या-क्या कौन से country में shipping अच्छा है, कौन सा country में airway facilities अच्छा है. So you have to do a proper study on those nations with whom and a background analysis. It is not that only in a it has to be in-depth analysis about what kind of disputes actually are working in their country or not. So this is what is the in and out or trade finance analyst job role is. Then only you can come to a conclusion. That is the reason I have given a hypothetical situation of 4 different countries under this situation. So 4 countries having 4 different scenarios. So as a trade finance analyst, you have to be aware about these things before you are actually operating in the market.
Ma'am, one question I have. Ma'am, in which Incoterms we will get to know the transfer of risk is more or less
It was
for
told
both importer and exporter.
for Incoterm F
Like
category
the transfer of
exports,
risk, I'm not getting.
transfer of risk in the sense that, as you saw, that when I moved from E to D category, slowly and slowly, the risk was transferred from the buyer to the seller, isn't it? Again, in E category, the entire risk lied with the buyer. Why? Because the seller was only delivering the good at the doorstep. But after the doorstep, वहां से तुम्हारी जगह तक कैसा सामान लाना है, how you will deal with, entirely the responsibility was with you. So the risk will be the most with whom? The buyer. On the contrary, when I am moving to Incoterm D category में क्या है? It is completely destination. It is delivered at the destination. Either the destination is the ship, or the destination is the quay, or you are paying the duty, or you are not paying the duty. But in fact, you are delivering the good at the destination of the buyer. So what is happening? Slowly and slowly, the risk is getting transferred from the buyer to the seller as you move from E category to D category.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you getting it? So that is how, for that, you need to have the fundamental idea about the different categories of Incoterms. Then only you can decide. So this is what I'm majorly, two types of knowledge has to be gained. As I think Shubha Shankar was asking that question, what should be the prerequisite of a kind of trade deal? The first prerequisite is the knowledge regarding the various types of trade financing, various forms of documentation, and various types of Incoterms. This is the knowledge which one should have. Apart from that, the country, the scenario, the position, economical, political, geographical, territorial condition of that country with whom you are trading. So these are the two things which one has to be completely thorough about before you are deciding and giving, because based upon your judgment or your analysis, the further process will continue. So that is how the game of trade financing is seen in the real time market. Very interesting thing. When those who are working in this field know, once you know this rules and all this part, and you can feel yourself that yes, you are the decision maker of doing something, or you are suggesting certain points which are taken up ahead. This is a kind of vetting of ideas as to which kind of Incoterms will do good or will be the best for the dealers. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Hello. So this is what is the chapters related to trade financing. So we are done with it. Everybody are here, or you?
Yeah, ma'am. So, as you were,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
शैलेंदु क्या समझा बोला तो? शैलेंदु, at least today turn on your cameras. Huh?
1 minute.
All of you. So you might be happy, all of you. 50% तुम लोग का fees relaxation हो गया. Did you get this news or not? By
No,
your
ma'am.
mentors?
No, ma'am.
Your
No,
mentors
ma'am.
have not told you?
no, ma'am.
Breaking news.
हम बताए हैं, but they have told us.
हाँ.
Kab?
Official mail कुछ नहीं आया अभी तक.
Official, no official.
Official mail will come, but 50% relaxation to fees has been given. And those who have already paid, uska next semester mein they will try to
Adjust.
neutralize. So that is what is the kind of provision which has come to us. But officially, yes, unless, and this is in between you and me. And apart from
Okay,
that, I
ma'am.
have only told my mentees. Rohan and Rudra इधर है तो उनको but they are knowing, but still then this is what has come as far as the relaxation of fees, but it is officially, of course, it is going to come to you.
Okay.
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 And कुछ समझ में आया IFM course या just went tangentially up above the head? I am really missing the original class. It was real difficult, but still then some of the things beyond control what to do. And this time the paper will be slightly different. All of you will have different papers because questions has been shuffled up. So chances of malpractices will be minimized to a greater extent. Why? Because everybody will get a different set. Though the representation of the questions will be the same, but with a different form altogether. So first part of the question will have MCQs and short answer types, which carries 10 marks, right? So 10 marks, if it is be very, very specific, 10 marks means each question carrying 2 marks. So there will be total 5 questions. So out of 5, 3 MCQs and 2 short type, I think. So MCQs, so no need to write the question again. Please don't do that. Only write the correct option and the correct answer. And yes, please number your answers properly. Last time ME2 mein really it was a tough job for me to look for answer. With kindly requesting all of you, please number it properly if you're writing. Huh? Don't miss. Yeah.
And we need to write the justification as well.
Justification, I don't think MCQ में वो लोग कुछ space दिए होंगे because it will be just a tick option which will be given to you. If it is given justification, space is there, then do write. I don't know. I have sent the question, but once it is converted in Moodle, how does it look like? I had no idea. So if space is given for justification, do write the justification. If there is no space, no need to write. Simple. Okay. The first part is 10 marks, 5 questions, short type and MCQ. Clear? Second part of the question is what is that? Yeah, a case or situational analysis. There can be short cases related to aspects of what we have discussed, maybe factor endowment effect, or given the calculation of comparative cost advantage given a situation. I have done many of those in insert learning technique, if you remember. So, or certain cases related to exchange rate functioning, the factors affecting exchange rate. So second part of the question, there will be total 4 questions. Out of 4 questions, you have to answer any 3 and each carrying 10 marks. Suppose question number 6, 7, 8, 9, 4 question hai part B mein. So out of 4, you have to answer any 3. But not necessary that one question is a full long question. Again, that has been divided into certain subparts. Like question number 6 will have 3 subparts or 2 subparts it might have. So depending upon that, you have to rewrite your answers. There are certain flowchart, certain diagrams based questions. Either it is correct or not, wrong also, you have to figure it out. And if it is wrong, you have to redesign. For example, the process of LC or DC, which is presented in a graphical manner. So I may plot it up in that way, and you have to find out if it is wrong, you have to explain where it is wrong. If it is right, then you have to explain the process. So a bit of gamification has been added to the question paper. So play and write. So question number 6, 7, 8, 9 are any 3 out of 4, which is carrying 10 marks. Numericals, I don't think numericals, yes, few only related to the comparative cost advantage, which we did in order to know that which country has an absolute and a comparative advantage over another. I don't think apart from that any other numericals we did. Yes, exchange rate, if you can look into exchange rate mechanism, the factors affecting exchange rate, the PPP theory, purchasing power parity. Today I will upload a video on IPR. Because of this time I have not been able to. IPR technique, which is your interest rate parity technique of exchange rate. That after the class I will upload that. So that's it. Very few portion. हाँ डीन सर का पोर्शन क्या पढ़ा है मुझे वहां से थोड़ा सा देख लेना. शॉर्ट क्वेश्चंस माइट बी. डीन सर जो पोर्शन पढ़ाए थे I think on
Yes,
global.
no, IMF and the.
So there will be certain few questions. Huh? But yes, all these questions will be fund analysis based, as and most focus will be on trade financing part. Trade financing, factoring, forfeiting, the process, and it will be all case based. You have to imagine yourself as in that situation, and you have to give your decision. That is what you have to do with. Okay. Any other question?
Ma'am, I had 2 questions. Like in LCs, there are two kinds of two-step verification is being met, right? One is from issuing bank, which is being sent to that advising bank. Then another verification
One
is also being
remitting
made.
bank, another is a confirmation bank. Issuing bank sent a
Yes,
letter to the confirmation. So once the confirmation bank defines that everything is okay and the financing activity can start, then it goes to the receiving bank.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, I'm saying, despite having that 2-step verification of documentation and all those things, how is chances of like unfavorable situation, like be it for importer or be it for exporter is happening there? Like as we, there are 2-step bank is checking both.
See,
bank is checking.
these are the nuances which are involved. After इतना कुछ करने के बाद भी तो नीरव मोदी ये सारा cases होता है ना. So nobody can stop that. Don't you think that all those things would have been documented? Everything would have been done. Either would have been irrevocable position, irrevocable position, but still then frauds happen. So we cannot control those things. It is a completely different set of ball game altogether. But still then we have to be very, very careful with certain frame of rules. See, everywhere there are terms, agreement, rules. But again, infringement of these rules, terms depend upon, again, who is doing it and to what extent they are doing it. So these are the major limitation which we are falling into the boundaries of.
Okay, and ma'am, the case you have shown like that 4 countries. So in that scenario, we will be marking that as seller. Yes, so on the basis of seller's obligation and transfer of risk. On that basis, we have to categorize,
because
right?
you have to give a decision from the point of view of an exporter. Right.
Okay.
So that the case was you as an exporter, and these are what is the condition is, and based upon that, how will you give or you will deal with 4 different countries having 4 different conditions, because the conditions of all those 4 were completely different. So how you are going to give them or freeze the deals with 4 different countries? So that is what the kind of activity which you have to do.
Okay, ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, ma'am, on last session, my group had presented. So
Your
our
group
mark
has
will be
presented.
counted on that basis, or the case
See,
like
those
will
who
be
have,
submitted.
your group has presented, I have already evaluated. Your group has no issue at all. Rest of the group, those with whom I cannot. So that is what is the whole concern is. Okay. And all of you, can you turn on your cameras? Now at least at the last class of IFM, I can expect this much, or I'm asking anything more. Sab so gaye. Ayush, my goodness, after a long time. Are you here? Huh? Lema, Siddesh. Lema and Ali. Ali, after a long time you have joined. I don't know how will you able to. Ali, you're a part
Yeah,
of
ma'am.
this Google Classroom, right?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Just go through
Yes,
those
ma'am.
documents which has been shared. I'm telling you about the project, what you have to do in this one.
Okay.
Rohan, you're not visible.
Ma'am, low lighting, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I was not able to unmute.
You're fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, next semester, which course you are going to take?
अरे नेक्स्ट सेमेस्टर कोर्स तो मेरा ड्रॉप कर दिया, तुम लोग नहीं लिया और क्या पढ़ाओगी?
मैम actually
कौन सा अगर लेते तो आप?
मैम लिए थे मैम. I was within the minority 16. I had to change.
Ma'am, I have also taken the industrial economics.
Industrial
So that IEF was there, but it has not
ma'am,
been.
actually, I was also. Ma'am, I want to say that actually I also don't have any group, and Partha Sarthi was also doesn't have the group, ma'am, and we haven't submitted the assignment.
Zero, पूरा zero. तुम तो फिजिकल मोड में भी नहीं लेट सबमिट करते थे, हाँ?
No, ma'am.
मेरा मेमोरी इतना खराब नहीं हुआ है, हाँ?
Ma'am,
I can recollect ME2 class now.
No, ma'am. Actually, the group we were allotted, ma'am. Some member are saying that they have created their own group and they have submitted without saying us anything to me and Partha and some members.
आयुष, तुम अभी अगर सो के जागोगे मैं क्या करूंगी बोलो?
No, ma'am. They haven't said anything, and then
Nobody will say anything. You have to take your proactive action.
मैम इनडायरेक्टली वो लोग मुझे बोल रहे हैं, सीधी बात बोलूं, अगर करना होता तो खुद से बोलते ना मेरे को. अब बोलोगे खुद से नहीं बोले, दे दिए.
क्या हो रहा है? See, ऐसे नहीं कि तुम लोग ग्रुप में if you are doing it for namesake for entering that वो छोड़ दो. Now कल को जाके everybody you are going to work, huh? At least grow up. For namesake, don't add your name in any of those group if you are not contributing effectively. Please don't do that. Huh? At least at this stage, it is not expected, no? Kya Ayush?
Yes, ma'am.
Now what will you do? Ali Hassan and you, both of you combine together and work on something and give me as soon as possible. But again, it has to be late. I cannot give you full score. I cannot say that. because there has to be a penalty for those who have not followed it, because 2 months before the project was given.
Ma'am, we have told that I told